Hello and welcome back to the Interstellar Incorporated series of demo videos. We're going to go straight into the planet view now, first of 3 videos on planets, and this one's going to be about resources, farming and production. So let's start with the center of the screen, where we have the basic information on the planet. It's most importantly what class of planet it is, surface temperature, which determines various factors which we're going to shortly, and some other minor data here which is just for astronomy nerds who might be interested in the actual basic statistics of the planet. So where do we start? We start with resource extraction. Now this happens to be our prime system, our home system. In the real game we won't be able to actually harvest resources on the home planet, because the whole purpose of the game is to fix the problems that have occurred with the environmental catastrophe of the home system, of over extraction, environmental pollution, so forth. But for the demo we're going to actually continue to wreck our home system, so our home planet. So there are 2 basic types of resources. We have minerals, which are known as resources, and we have farming, which only occurs on habitable classed worlds. All other worlds you can only do mining of resources on, unless there's terraforming, which will be potentially a later feature of the game. So resources are shown by bars that basically stick out of the planet's surface, as you can see here. If it's a wide bar, it means it's difficult to extract, as it's got a low productivity. A narrow one means it's actually a lot more concentrated deposit, which means it's going to be much more rapid in you being able to mine it. So we can see this particular planet's got silica, coal, iron ore, I think that's it. And it's a manganese deposit there. The availability of resources is determined by a number of factors. Generally, a particular solar system will have an abundance of certain minerals, certain elements in that system. Other solar systems will have different abundances, and these will reflect in the resources you'll find on each planet. So how do we extract these resources? Well, it's very simple. We just click on one. Let's take this iron ore deposit here, and we just click that to mine this deposit, and then we have an iron ore mine that is under construction. So we can see that. Well, let's build a coal mine as well. It's very Victorian technology, this. So we've got an iron ore and a coal mine. Now you can see here these have already started in production. As soon as they're built, off they go, and they start depositing resources into your port's warehouse, which is where things are stored. So now we've got some iron ore. Now you can see that the coal has appeared and it's disappeared again, because this reduction smelter, which is a fancy way of calling a steelworks, or not just a steelworks, but it could also process nickel or copper, and it uses coal to reduce the ore, takes the oxide and converts it into actual metal. But anyway, that was a segue on to talking about other types of production, which I didn't really want to talk about right now, but since we're still on resource extraction, but that's fine. We'll quickly show you here. So we have this reduction smelter here can take coal, as coal is always required, but these are optional, and depending on which one of these you also input, it will output that specific type of metal, whether it be iron, nickel or copper. And that shows you its production rate, and these here show you the quantity on hand versus the capacity that the port has. You can see the port is quite full, so it's showing it just lets you know quickly whether basically you need to clear out some inventory or build a bigger port. But anyway, this all kind of goes into other issues relating to port storage. Anyway, so that's basics on resources. The other one is farming, which only occurs on terrestrial type habitable planets. These are represented currently in development. Want to improve this UI feature later by different climate types. So here we have a cool continental climate, here we have Mediterranean type climate, and then we have a tundra type climate. I think we have a tropical on this particular world. These will there's one there, tropical, right. The size of these, it tells you how fertile it is. You can see that one's very fertile, that's not so very fertile. The distribution of these different types of climates will depend upon the surface temperature of the planet. So particularly hot worlds, you'll see more deserts and tropicals. On cooler worlds, you'll see more tundras and cool climates. What does the climate have to do with anything? It has to do with what crops you can harvest on them. So Mediterranean, for instance, you see has got fruit and veggies, and we can just click off and start building a fruit farm there. This one here has cool continental, that's got cattle. It's also got veggies here, but it's also got its unique one which is wheat. So we can kick off a wheat farm there. And you'll see these in the farm tab. And these are important, obviously. Foods and minerals are your two basic types of resources, because these will then feed into the market, which we'll talk about later. But basically, markets demands are going to be either food, or they're going to be finished goods, which you get by converting minerals into finished parts. That was the basics on primary industries, which is resources and farming. Secondary industries, which are refineries and smelters, food processing plants, and finished goods factories. Basically, these, as we saw on the reduction smelter earlier, these take their raw materials and/or components and convert them into finished goods. Now, in order to demonstrate more of these, if I basically say I want to build a different type of facility, which is a refining type, you can see you've got a whole list here. In the game, these will obviously be locked according to how much research you've done. As you get further into the game, more and more of these will become available. And you can see very quickly here, each of these tells you what goes in and what comes out. And if we look at food processing plants, you can see here these are a little bit more familiar than the more strange sci-fi type ones. A creamery takes milk and turns it into cheese. And the finished goods factories are where you basically build your final goods that populations will then demand as products. You can see various really complicated things like ground cars, hover cars, personal teleporters, and so forth, which require awful lots of bits and pieces. Anyway, so that's essentially the choice that you have available for the different types of refineries and factories and so forth. The key to actually building larger planets with more sophisticated population demands is to actually build more of these factories and have supply chains which provide your factories with the goods. Anyway, so that's basically it on production and resources, and the next video we'll be talking about ports and shipping. I'll see you then.